Scottie Pippen lacked this one talent Michael Jordan had. Poetic justice, the tremendous tiny wonders of life, warrior's compassion. This is why. These are the words that come to me when I think about Pippen's HOF ride. The honor that he rightfully deserved, the respect and credibility that his exploits have engendered, and finally the friendship he had with Jordan, whether their ex-coach Phil Jackson was all Hall of Fame worthy. Too much has been made of the Jordan-Pippen equation, but there has been much too little genuine substance to back it up. Too many people have focused on the fact that each was essential to the success of the other, that each was incomplete without the other. It's a reasonable point, that they were both complementary to one another and essential to each other's development. Jordan even went so far as to tell Bulls management that if Coach Jackson and Pippen were fired, he would follow. It is not simple for a player of Jordan's stature to openly promote his worth and significance, but Scottie Pippen lacked this one talent Michael Jordan had. So let's have a look. There doesn't seem to be a week that goes by and we don't hear about one or more members of the famed 1990 Chicago Bulls squad. This week is Scottie Pippen's turn following a 1993 Bulls article detailed how Pippen would frequently insult Tony Kukoc due to his great personal pride. Stay with us today as we debate this rumor as well as a few more NBA tidbits. First and foremost, what has Mr. Pippen been up to recently? Scottie Pippen is still adored in sport more than a quarter century after his peak. As is still frequently stated, the small forward who had two distinct spells with the Bulls is one of the few players who has appeared in the Hall of Fame twice. Once as an individual and once as a member of the Dream Team, Pippen has kept himself active since his retirement in 2004 by serving as a Bulls ambassador in 2010, and as a senior advisor to Michael Reinsdorf, the Bulls president and COO. He worked with the Bulls management for a decade before leaving in 2020. There was allegedly a clash between his work with the Chicago company and his work on ESPN. Last year, the Arkansas native introduced his own brand of bourbon, digits as well as an open memoir. He has been a busy lad. After appearing in the highly successful Jordan documentary The Last Dance, Pippen was reintroduced to NBA fans as the ever-trusty sidekick in plenty of previously unseen footage. Since the documentary aired, he has claimed that he was the true leader of the squad, but that he was never given the respect he deserved. What do you think of Pippen's post-basketball career? Pretty impressive, right? We suppose he could have done whatever he wanted with his career riches. So, what did this report conclude? Let's see. It's safe to say that the Bulls were not the same squad without Jordan, and when he left Chicago, Pippen declared it was his team. In the spotlight, he's frequently portrayed as the type of player and man who always feels as though the world is against him. Despite the fact that he has had nothing for a long time and despite the fact that he has been recognized as an important member of one of the best NBA teams ever, it never seems to be good enough for him. Following the airing of The Final Dance, Pippen appeared to turn on Jordan, ostensibly dismissing everything the two had accomplished together. But he had an ulterior goal. His book was about to be released, therefore, it is widely assumed that this was a sales ploy. Bulls fans have described Pippen as the glue that held the team together in the past, thus turning on Jordan was seen as a big betrayal. During his playing career, Pippen was known as No-Tip Pippen because he frequently departed restaurants without tipping or leaving a pittance. This will resonate more in America than anywhere else since Americans appear to believe it is the divine right of any waitstaff to be tipped even if they perform a lousy job, which just does not fly in the rest of the globe. However, this aspect of Pippen's personality tells a wider story. He was anxious for reinforcement and wanted to be the man everywhere he went. Stay tuned to find out what else the report said. As you're probably aware if you follow Twitter, the 1993 report was recently published online and was not kind to our man Scottie. The stinging criticism detailed how Pippen lacked Jordan's leadership abilities and felt threatened when Croatian Tony Kukoc joined the squad. He tried to show Kukoc up by utterly outperforming him in the newcomer's first training season, but his comrades saw through the flaws and understood they were dealing with a seriously flawed man looking to exert his control. Now that he was out of Jordan's shadow, his teammates weren't sure if he was trying to replicate Jordan or simply laying down a marker for Kukoc. The act had the potential to undermine Kukoc's self-esteem, but Pippen didn't appear to mind. Jordan frequently acted in this manner, but he had an excuse. He was Michael Jordan. Apparently, Pippen did not enjoy the new Jordan documentary, but it appears that there was some truth in how he was depicted, as many people in the know have said that Pippen was not as universally loved among the team as many believe. He maintained an aura of bitterness about him, which was partly due to having to play second fiddle to Jordan for so long. Charles Oakley has spoken out about one of basketball's most iconic relationships. Now, former Chicago Bulls player Charles Oakley has spoken out against Jordan and Pippen's connection on Shannon Sharpe's podcast this week. He expresses his opinion on the saga, saying, "I think in the ESPN documentary The Last Dance I talked about this, but Jerry Krause, I think I gave him a lot of credit. Because he drafted me being biased, but I think he did a lot of work to put that team together, but for Mike and Scottie." Oakley went on to say that he believes the feud goes deeper than The Last Dance, because they didn't give them a lot of headlines like they did Dennis Rodman and Steve Kerr. Oakley went on to explain that he feels MJ might have won without Pippen, but he also had a message for Scottie advising him to get over it. He stated, "You know, in sports there is a lot of guys who play together for a lot of years. They don't play for friendship. They play to win the championship and for the love of the game. So we saw this play out in a variety of ways, including Magic Kareem, Shaq Kobe, and a few other players. Of course, you cannot get along with everyone. After all, you do not choose your coworkers, and when ego enters the picture, there is a far bigger likelihood of two guys not getting along." Let us know what you think about the Jordan-Pippen feud in the comment section down below. Recently, Kevin Durant has discussed the MJ vs. LeBron controversy. The LeBron vs. MJ discussion had raged up on for some time now, but currently Brooklyn Nets member 7 Kevin Durant has offered a somewhat different perspective on the rivalry, claiming that the entire topic is useless. He emphasizes that it is not about one being number 1 and the other being number 2, but about them both being something we've never seen before. He went on to explain that they were both in their own stratospheres of greatness and that comparing them is pointless, because they can never and will never play against each other. So it's essentially just an argument that will go on indefinitely. He stated that because MJ will never play against LeBron in a game, there is no reason to compare their careers. It's simply what you prefer, and we agree with his point of view. Why can't we just admire both of them for who they are or were? In the case of MJ, we don't have to constantly pit them against each other. Durant also stated that when you look at what they've both accomplished, it's remarkable. And he is true. He also stated that people use LeBron as a gauge in other areas of life, frequently referring to people as the LeBron of this and that. He concluded by adding that we should all simply admire brilliance. We're not going to pull you on who you like because we agree with Durant. I appreciate both of these gentlemen. Finally, here's an update on Pippen and MJ's Bulls. It's reasonable to say that injuries have hampered the Chicago Bulls season thus far, but good news is on the way for Billy Donovan's team, as Alex Caruso and Zach LaVine are reportedly ready to return. Caruso has been out with a wrist fracture but has returned, and LaVine has had chronic troubles with his left knee but appears to be on the mend. At the outset of the season, the Bulls would have thought that they were both in contention to fight for the championship, but injuries have decimated them, and the club is depending on a rookie point guard, for example, and with LaVine in and out of the lineup, the starting lineup is never assured. Donovan said, "I could end up being in a situation where we have to potentially go almost a game by game on lineups, and rotations just based on what's happened a lot is based on injury." The coach must be frustrated, but with Caruso returning, things are looking good. Who is your favorite Chicago Bulls player? And don't forget to weigh in on the Pippen-MJ debate.